Hi guys, it's Katie and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing how to crochet for absolute beginners. In this video, I'm going to start out by showing you guys how to do basic stitches, and then in the end I'll show you how you can put some of these basic stitches together to make something. So let's get started. Just so you guys know, there will be links in the description for products that I suggest for beginners. That'd be yarn, crochet hooks, yarn needles, all that kind of stuff will be linked in the description. And looking at this yarn, you can see that it says 8mm with a picture of a crochet hook. That means that this yarn suggests an 8mm crochet hook. You can see this says L-8mm, and you can see here that it also says L. So this is the crochet hook that they're recommending. You can also see that this yarn says super bulky, and for beginners I would suggest something that says bulky because it's easier to see the stitches that you're making. So for the point of this video, I'm going to be using yarn that is bulky, but of course you want to use whatever yarn your pattern suggests. And to start out, you can see I have an end here from the ball. I'm not going to be pulling from this one. I'm going to be finding the end that's actually in the middle. So I'm going to be finding the yarn end that's in the middle of the ball, and sometimes you have to pull quite a bit out to get there. So now you can see I have the end of the yarn here. I have the end of the yarn here, and the first thing that a pattern will normally tell you to do is to chain. So to start a chain, you need to do a slip knot. When you're working in rows, a pattern will normally say you need to chain a certain amount. If you're making a large blanket, then you'll probably have to chain anywhere from like 200 to 500. But if you're just making a small project, it could be just like 10 chains. It just depends on what the pattern says. If you guys are beginners, something that might be good is to follow along right now. It doesn't have to be with the same yarn or anything, and I'm just making a little swatch today. But if you guys want to get the hang of these basic stitches and these basic techniques, I think it'd be a great idea to follow along. So to start out, this end, which you can't see my ball of yarn because it's actually on the ground, but this end that's attached to the ball of yarn is called your working end. And this end here, where you can see that it's not attached to the ball of yarn, is called your tail. This tail is going to go down here, and this working end is going to come around your two fingers and up to make an X shape. So now that you have this, you can flip your yarn over, and not this first piece, but this second piece you want to grab onto, and you want to pull that up and then tighten it. And now you have a slip knot, and in here is where your crochet hook is going to go. So here's my crochet hook, and you just insert it in here, and then I normally like to set this down, that way you can get a good grip. And then you want to pull on your tail and your working end at the same time to tighten the slip knot. That way you have a slip knot that fits on the size of your crochet hook. To create a chain is known as CH in a crochet pattern. To create a chain, you're going to do what is called a yarn over, which I will show you again. It's just taking the yarn from the back of the crochet hook and going on top like this. Some people might think that it's this way, but as you can see, this way it makes it slip down a little bit, and you don't want that. You want it to stay on your crochet hook. So a yarn over is to go back like this, and then you can see that your crochet hook is able to grab the end like that. So to create a chain, you yarn over and then pull through the loop. You can see there's a chain here, and you can see my finger through it a little bit. So now you would yarn over again and pull up another loop, and that's created two chains. You can see there's one here, it makes a V shape. There's one here, and then another here. Now you'd want to chain as many times as your pattern tells you to. I'm just going to do 10 today for this swatch, but however much the pattern you're following tells you to is how much you'd want to do. Now that I have 10 chains, the first stitch that I'm going to show you is called a single crochet. This is probably the most common type of crochet that you'll do, and it's also one of the easiest ones. So you'll insert your crochet hook into this chain before. So when you finish your chains, it's like this. You'll want to turn around and insert your hook here. You can see that it's the next little V shape that's open. Sometimes it will tell you to skip some stitches or something like that, but you just need to follow along with your pattern. So I'm going to insert into this next one, and then again you'll yarn over the same way that we did with the chains. Yarn over, and then you're going to pull through this chain here. So now there's 2 loops on your hook. Once you have these 2 loops, you're then going to yarn over one more time and pull through the 2 loops that are here, and now you have 1 loop left on your hook. That's created your first single crochet. So now I'll show you one more time how to do this. I'm going to insert into the next one, which you can see my fingers coming through there. That's the way that I like to do this most. If you don't know where your stitch is supposed to go next, you can kind of pull it apart and see there's a hole right there, so that's where my next one needs to go. And then you can see that there's a hole right there, so that's where my next one needs to go. So now, again, you'll insert your crochet hook in there, and then you will yarn over, pull through a loop. Now you have 2 loops, and then you'll yarn over again, pull through this 3rd loop through these 2, and then you have 1 loop left on your hook. Now since I'm not following a specific pattern, I'm just going to do this for the rest of the row. That way I can teach you guys how to do the next one, and I think doing a few stitches like this will help you get practice. So if you're following along, then just do single crochets in the rest of these chains. So now I'm here at the last one. I'm just going to again insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull this loop through the 2 on the hook, and then you have a row of single crochets, and you can see at the top of these single crochets it makes little V shapes. So normally at the end of a row, a pattern will tell you to chain 1 or chain 2 or something like that. I'm just going to chain 1 for now, and then you will turn your project. So just like that. And for this next one is a half double crochet, and that is abbreviated as HDC. So that is just going to be yarn over first, and then insert your crochet hook. And once you have a row of actual stitches, it's a bit easier to see where you're supposed to insert your crochet hook. You can see pretty plainly that there's a hole right there, and a hole right there, and a hole right there. So I'm going to insert my hook into this hole, and then now that you're on this side, yarn over again and pull through a loop. Now you have 3 loops on your crochet hook, and you're going to yarn over and pull through these 3. So again, you're going to yarn over, you're going to insert your crochet hook, which you can see the hole there, but sometimes if you have yarn that's thinner, it won't be as apparent. So you'll want to look at the top and see, okay, there's a V here and a V here. So you'll yarn over, insert your crochet hook underneath the V. You can see that there's a V right there. And then you're going to yarn over and pull this loop through. So have 3 loops on your hook. And then yarn over one last time and pull through all 3 of these loops on your hook. So now I'm going to continue this to the end. So sometimes for this last stitch, when you try to do the last half double crochet here, it might look like it's only supposed to go in this one, but there is a loop right there that your hook needs to go under too. So sometimes you have to maneuver it a bit to get under there, but then you can just go under and do your half double crochet. And don't worry if your project's kind of curling up a bit like this. Once you move along further in a project, normally it will flatten out. Or if it doesn't, you can always just put it under something really heavy like a book or something, and it should flatten out easily. So now that I'm at the end of this row, I'm going to now chain 2 because this next stitch that I'm going to show you how to do is a bit taller. So you pretty much want your chains to be as tall as the stitches you're doing for the next row. So this next stitch is a double crochet, which is abbreviated as DC in crochet patterns. So to do a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, insert your crochet hook underneath the V, which you can see here, there's a hole there, so that's where I want to insert it. Once you're here, you're going to yarn over, pull this loop through. Now you have 3 loops. This so far is the same as a half double crochet. This is where it gets different. So we're going to yarn over again, and instead of pulling through all 3 of these loops like you would do with a half double crochet, you're only going to pull through these 2 loops for a double crochet. So now that you've done that, you have 2 loops left. You're now going to yarn over and pull through these last 2 loops, and then you have 1 loop left. And you can see that compared to the other stitches, this one is much taller. One more time, how to do a double crochet is you're going to yarn over, insert your hook underneath the V. You can see that the V is right there, and if you have to, you can go, here's one part of the V, here's the other, and then you will yarn over and pull through this loop. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over again, and pull through the other 2. And now that completes another double crochet. So I'm going to continue this to the end of the row. Now, since I've showed you a chain, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet, I'm going to finish off, which is abbreviated as FO. Normally for projects you would continue to crochet to actually make something that is bigger and is actually something, but for today I'm just making this little swatch to show you these basic stitches. You have your working end here, and to finish off you'll just cut your working end, and when you do this you want to leave a little bit of a tail, so I'm just going to cut it here, and then put this, which is attached to the ball of yarn, just put this off to the side. And now if you kept your crochet hook in there, that's fine. If you didn't, then just insert it back in. And you have this tail here that you can just yarn over and pull through all the way until that's all the way through, and then I just pull on the end to tighten it. That way you have this completely finished off. So that again is called finishing off, or finish off, or however you want to say it. And remember, you only want to do this at the end of your project when it says FO or finish off. So now that I have this end here from where I started and made the slip knot, and I have this end here from where I finished off, I'm going to take a yarn needle, which there's different types. There's plastic ones, which I have an example of here, and there's metal ones, which I have an example of here. This metal one is actually curved on the end, which is not something that you necessarily need, but I just have it because it's nice to have. But you could have either one of these. It just depends on personal preference, really. As a beginner, you might start out with just plastic ones, but either way, if you're using something that's chunkier than this yarn, you'll probably need a yarn needle with a bigger eye, but of course that's just depending on what yarn you're using. So if your yarn does not go through the yarn needle as easily as mine just did, what I normally like to do is to fold it like this. That way your end is here, and then just pinch it on the end, and then you can feed it through and pull up. And then once you've done this, it's now on your yarn needle. If you're concerned about this slipping off, you can tie a little knot, but I just personally like to leave it like it is. And then to weave in your ends, you're going to start wherever this tail is at. So this tail for me is in my chains, so I'm going to actually hold this upside down, and insert my crochet hook in here, and then just pull it out, and then insert it in the next chain, and then pull it out, and then insert it in the next chain and pull it out. And I pretty much do this a few times until I think it's good, really. Now that I've weaved in this end a little bit, I'm going to actually go backwards. This just ensures that your project will stay together. So again, I was going from this way up, so I'm going to come from this way down. So you just go in this one. And now you still have a little bit of an end here, but you can see it's much smaller. Once I have that, I will just trim it down. You need to be careful that you're not cutting the project and you're just cutting the yarn, because as you can see, I'm doing it pretty close to the project, so it could be easy to just snap off one of the stitches and the whole thing come undone. So just be very careful when you're doing that. So now that I've done that, you can see that it pretty much just blends in with the project. So now you'd want to do that with this end, and then once you've completed that, your project would be done. So I hope that this video helped you learn how to crochet and do some of the basic stitches. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like on this video, comment something down below, and you can subscribe to this channel and turn on post notifications. That way you'll know every time I upload a new video. The item that went up on my Etsy shop this week is this crochet scarf. So if you guys are interested in that, of course it'll be linked in the description down below, as well as my Etsy shop, website, social media, and contact information are all linked in the description as well. You guys can check those out and follow them for updates on new videos, updates on Etsy products, and to see the process of me making things. And of course, if you guys want to see more videos, there is some linked in the description box below. And at the end of this video, there will be video suggestions as well that you can watch. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!